Hello and welcome to the Ram Show. It is. Man, I'm really bad with this month. August? It's August 20th, 2017. Zach is yelling at me in my ear, but you can't hear it yet because I don't have his audio on. Okay, hang on. There, now you can speak, and now we can hear you, Zach.
Yes, that's good.
I always solo intro the show.
I know
Uh,
that. That's why I yelled at you.
oh, okay. So, and then I don't turn your audio on until we go to the double box. Anyway, okay. Well, I thought I was going to have to arrange the show, but I'm not, because you actually were on time-ish this week.
Right.
Of course, it'd be nice if you called in before 5 o'clock when we started, but that's all right. Anyway, okay. I don't know if you've opened up all the stories or not for this week,
Of course I
Zach.
have.
Oh. Well, don't read through A4 quite yet, because I want your genuine reaction when I actually read the story. So, yeah. Anyway, let's start with the first topic for this week. We'll get right into it. IMAX on your face. A company is, I guess, building this, like, it looks like a VR headset, but it's not, for watching movies.
Wait, it's what? It's not for watching movies. Well, then
No,
what's it for?
it's for watching movies. It's not for VR,
Oh,
it's
I was
for
like,
watching
what?
movies.
I heard you say it's not for. I'm like, what is this for then? I don't understand. You can't really look around with it because it's like on this giant.
Well, that's so you don't have to hold the thing. So, here.
I
Let's
mean,
do.
yeah, that would be nice, I guess, but like, is it more comfortable than straps on your head?
Um, I don't know. Okay, well, okay. So it's
If
from
it's
a.
on the arm, because that looks kind of annoying to be in the way, but if it's more comfortable, maybe it could be an okay solution. And you don't have to look around, so
I have no idea. Oh, gosh darn it. Corsair, fix your software! The Corsair utility engine just crashed on me again. Of course. I am not surprised. It seems to be happening more and more now, for whatever odd reason, since the update came out. So, you know what? Never trust a hardware manufacturer to build a piece of software that's actually going to work correctly. Good rule of thumb there, Zach?
you know, I don't think you'd be wrong about that. It seems like a lot of the time the included software is clunky and doesn't work,
um,
or both.
or both. Yeah, you are right on that. Anyway, okay. So, let's talk about this real quick here. So, this is from a company called uh, Cinera, I think. What do you think? Is that close enough, do you think? Cinera?
Cinera? I don't know.
Cinera?
I think maybe Cinera because it's kind of close to cinema.
Yeah, Cinera. Anyway, it's a project on Kickstarter that looks astonishingly uncomfortable. And as you've already pointed out, like with the stand and stuff like that, you already said it looks uncomfortable.
It kind of does.
It's like, it's odd. I don't know quite what to think of it. Like, it looks weird. Anyway, with that being said, let's see here. The headset has a dual 2560 by 1440 display and a wide 66-degree field of view, which the creators compared to an IMAX theater experience. So basically, the big selling point of it is that it's like an IMAX for your face.
Okay. I mean, I guess that's all right.
It can play standard or 3D movies over HDMI or through the built-in Android OS. Okay, so we just talked about the whole Corsair thing, and I was thinking about this as we were saying it. Hopefully, the included
Is the
Android
built-in
OS.
OS clunky?
Yes, is it
And does
clunky
it work?
or does it work decently? The other question I have is how the heck do you control it?
I mean, doesn't look like there's any kind of motorized function. You probably just move it with your face.
Yeah. Like, there's no mouse, there's no peripherals. Uh, like, the only I/O that I would imagine it has, well, it has HDMI, but then I would imagine it has to have some kind of power, so some I/O for that. Um, yeah. But, like, I don't know how you would control the Android OS. Because, like, if you've got it up to your face, you're not going to be, like, tapping it like a touchscreen or anything like that. I don't know. That's interesting. Let's see. Now, the headset does have a 9-axis gyroscope for motion control, so maybe that's possibly what it is. Like, you tilt your head and it, like, does stuff. I don't know. But there's no mention of VR. The tilt sensing is supposed to be used for flying drones. So I guess you could like hook up your phone to it and fly a drone and stuff like that with like the included cameras on them. So anyway,
I mean, I guess. I don't know.
this is one of those like it looks interesting, but it doesn't look functional.
It's also
Or
almost $500. I would not pay $500 for this.
yeah, okay, so let's talk about that. So the early bird price on the
That's the
headset is
early bird price.
$449.
Wow.
Yep.
All right. Wait, that's less than what they want to retail this thing for. Oh my god.
$449. 42% off the retail price. You're good at math, right, Zach?
I have a calculator. Hold on.
Now, that includes the actual device, a charger, and the dentist-style burden-free arm is what they are calling it.
Okay, so evidently that means that the supposed retail price for this thing should be $637,
Holy mackerel!
which
How much is
I don't know.
VR
That
going
seems
for
like
right now? Do you
an
know?
awful lot for a couple of 1440p panels that are shoved into your face on an arm.
Exactly. Oh, so I don't know if you heard this. So I said it comes with, the actual device itself, of course. Comes with the charger and then the arm. But here's the catch. It comes with the arm, but not the mount. Yeah, the head mount
What?
is an extra $50.
And you can't even use it without that, can you?
I think you can. I think you can like strap it to your face, but I could be wrong on that.
Well, I don't know. That thing looks awfully heavy. I wouldn't want to do.
Oh, I would imagine it probably is. The pixel per degree is what they're saying here. That's the number of pixels dedicated to each degree of human vision is 39 on the device compared to 9.8 on the Vive and 11.5 on the Oculus Rift. So it sounds like it's got a better like viewing angle.
Okay,
or
here's
something
the problem
like
with that is that the Rift and the Vive are devices that you have to have a piece of graphics hardware to render out to them. So it can't be too high resolution or nothing's going to be able to run it.
That's true. How much
But
is
this
VR
thing,
going
you're just
for?
playing a video, so it doesn't really matter what the resolution is because you don't have to have a piece of graphics hardware that's super powerful.
That's true. Yeah, if you think about it, all video is a bunch of still frames put together in a sequence.
Yeah, but in this case, your graphics card doesn't have to do that.
Yeah. No, what I was saying was, do you know how much VR goes for right now?
Oh, I don't know. I think last I remember seeing anything, they go for around the same area as this thing.
Okay.
The $500 range, 600.
Okay, so this says that
I might be completely wrong, honestly. Like, that's just...
I have no idea. I haven't looked at it. VR is one of those things where it's just kind of like, okay, it's interesting. I'd be interested to try it out, but I'm not going to get into it. Not now, at least.
Like, I don't really care how much it costs because I'm not in the market to buy one.
Yeah, exactly.
All I know is it's way more than I could afford.
Is it one of those things, like I just said, like, is it one of those things that you're interested to, like, check out? Or are you just completely over the whole thing and like, yeah, whatever?
Oh, I'm sure it'll be relevant eventually when there's actually, games and content for it and hardware can run it easily, and Eventually, we'll get to a point where even the lower tier of graphics cards will be able to run VR
Oh, I'm
without a problem.
sure. I'm sure. As technology advances and stuff
And
like
at that point, I'm sure there will be a lot more content for them as well. And then it'll be like, hey, VR is viable now. Woo.
that. Right?
And now it's just like, hey, I got my VR headset. I can play like 10 games. Haha.
Okay, so wrapping this up here, the project appears to be pretty far along for something that's, would you agree, absurd?
Yeah, I think so.
It's got a scheduled ship date of November this year, and Cinera is part of Foxconn's Kick to Real incubator, which should hopefully help improve the odds of the monstrosity actually shipping to backers.
Well, here's the other thing. It's a Kickstarter, so, you're not even, I guess at this point, you're not even guaranteed, quote unquote, to actually see a finished product.
Huh, okay. Wait, so how does that work then? Like, you put money in, what happens if it fails? You don't get your money back, right? So it's like an investment?
I'm not sure. I know there have been, like, kind of scams go down through Kickstarter.
Oh, I can see it. I can definitely see it.
Or products that were, like, touted on Kickstarter and then turned out to be garbage when they actually shipped, So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's not the majority of things on Kickstarter, but
Oh, I'm
it's
sure
just
not.
one more. It is something that goes against it. But I mean, if you don't have lots of starting money, sometimes you don't have any other option but be like, "Hey, I want to do this thing. You should give me money so I can." I'll give you
I
a
wish the
product
world
when
worked
it's ready.
that way. Yeah, I want to do this. Give me money.
Give me money. I'll make it happen. But I need money first.
I totally wish it worked that way. Yeah. Can you give us enough money so we can buy a studio, make videos all day, and, just review hardware? And, call it... You'd be okay with that, right?
I don't think that's what happens most of the time.
It's not, but that's...
Most of the time, people are like, get your money first.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you'd be okay with that whole theory there. Give us money, we can go do this.
I'm sure anyone would be okay with that. So it's not really a stretch, but, okay.
Okay. Moving on. If you have a
Google
Google
Home again?
We didn't do Google Home last week. We've covered it in the past before, but...
We have a lot, actually, because these things are, kind of popping up all over the place. Every company wants to have a little cylinder or a box that sits in your living room.
Well,
and
it's...
listens to voice commands / spies on you. I mean, no spy.
I think...
None of that going on.
I think it
Sorry,
is the
I'll take
next...
my tinfoil hat off.
I think it is the brand new thing, though. Like...
I don't see the point. I would have zero purpose for one of these things.
Okay,
but
so...
I guess if they're becoming so common, people must be finding uses for them.
Well, okay, so here's the thing, right? So I have my Google Home in the background. The last time I used it was probably last night to turn on the TV, and that's about all I do with it now. When I'm too lazy to either grab my phone or find the remote.
Like, I feel like it offers, a decent convenience, but it's too expensive for that. If it was like $40, $50, okay, I guess that's kind of cool. But, like, it costs over $100, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah,
I can spend $100.
I think I was like 130. I got mine on sale.
Nah, I think I can find better ways to spend that much money.
I got mine on sale. It was one of those things that, like, I bought it because it looked interesting, and I wanted to check it out, and I thought it could be useful more in the future when I have more devices that are actually internet connected. But I also went into it knowing that I wasn't going to probably use it as much as I thought I was going to use it. So I already had that mentality in mind. But anyway, I still bought it. So
Sure.
this is one of those things right here. So if you have a Google Home, there, of course, Amazon does this. I'm sure Apple will be doing it. Every company, well, you have to if you want to stay relevant, is adding new skills, features, whatever a company is calling what the device can do, new, basically, features into it.
I think we call them features, functions.
Functions, there we
whatever.
go. Yeah, functions. New functions into it. So, Google has just announced that you can now make phone calls on your Google Home.
So can you like does it give you a phone number? Like I don't understand. Does you have to hook it up to your existing? Does it somehow work with your cell phone? How is this?
Hang
Does it
on.
just go over the internet like it probably should?
Hang on. I feel off center.
Ah, here we go. It says this thing works over Wi-Fi. Does not use your
Okay.
smartphone. So it's
No.
basically just voice over IP is
Yeah.
all it is really.
So here's my thing with this here. So yes, that's how it works. It works over Wi-Fi, so you're not actually using a cellular connection. There's no link to your phone whatsoever. Uh,
Well, that's nice.
Now you can't call from device to device, so you can't go call another Google Home. It doesn't work that way. You also can't answer calls to the Google Home. You can only make outgoing calls, at least at this time. They may
Wait,
eventually
what?
add features for you to be able to answer calls and stuff like that. But right now, it's only meant for you to be able to make calls.
Oh, I'm sure there's a half decent reason for why, but like it just seems like such an incomplete feature, I guess. So like, hey, you can make calls on your Google Home, but now you can only make outgoing calls, you can't answer calls, and you can't call another Google Home. So like,
Well, it makes it more flexible than what
really?
Amazon is doing with Alexa, Echo to Echo calls and messaging. So I guess
Oh,
you can go
so
from
with
Echo to
them you
Echo.
can only go from one to the other. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right about that, but again, it just feels like a half-baked feature
Although, like,
when
think
there's so
about
many
it.
restrictions on it.
Think about it though. Like,
I
'cause-
think if they were to make it all encompassing, like you could call another Google Home, you can answer a call on it, whatever you want, then yeah, that sounds like a cool feature.
I think the thing with it is like, okay, I could maybe see from like device to device because I'm sure each device. Well, you could probably use something like MAC addresses or some identifying thing to be able
They can
to.
just all be given a unique identifier. Like it wouldn't be hard to just generate one.
That's true. Yeah.
This is the ID of this Google Home device right here, and no other one has that.
I'm
Great.
wondering if there's
Done.
more work that needs to be like implemented into it to actually receive calls or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, this doesn't seem like a huge Google thing to do, so I'm sure there's a sort of okay reason for why, but
I wonder if they're doing it because Alexa already has the feature in place, so they're trying to compete.
maybe they're just pushing it out half-baked. Well, I mean, they could be pushing it out half-baked because of that, or they could be pushing it out just because, hey, we'll get something out the door while we make it work full. But
Yeah, that could be
okay, I
too.
guess. I mean, it's better than nothing, don't get me wrong, but it, like I said, it kind of feels like half a feature, not
Well, and here's
A
the
whole
other
feature.
thing. Here's the other thing. So this says it's been a long-awaited feature. So I'm wondering if consumers have been pressuring or not Amazon, Google to release it, and they're just saying, okay, we've got something that's sort of kind of working right now. Let's just get it out to make people happy, and then we'll develop it more.
well, I suppose.
So, and that might be what it is. And now, quick caveat to this, though. If you want to do this, you have to be in the U.S. or Canada, and you can only call the U.S. or Canada. I believe you can only call U.S. and Canada. That would make sense if it's that. If
Well,
that's
I don't
where
think that would be a huge problem for most people,
Yeah.
but I guess some people might find issue with that.
My biggest question with it is like the way this makes it sound. It makes it sound like you don't have to set anything up. You just say the command. You like give it a number, I would imagine, and it just goes.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's also no caller ID, so like, does anybody like?
Yeah.
It even says right here, does anybody answer an unknown call?
So
I don't.
but see, that's the thing. I'm wondering if it really is that simple. Like if I said,
It probably
blah, blah,
is.
the wait
to be
command.
honest.
The wait command.
I bet there's almost no setup to be done with this thing
that seems
because
so
like I
weird.
said, there's no caller ID, so you don't have to like input any information there. It's just like, all right, call
Yeah.
this person.
Now, here's the thing: you can link it to your Google Google Voice account if you want, so that
Oh,
people can
okay.
actually
Know
because like
who
if you
you
don't set it
are.
up, yeah, like you said, it just says it pops up on your phone as like private or no like unavailable or whatever, yeah,
Uh-huh.
unknown or no caller ID or whatever. Uh, and you're right. Like when I get phone calls like that, like especially like my home phone because we still have a landline and we have caller ID. When I see that, I'm just like, nah, I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah. Again.
Well, in general, I don't answer phone calls from people I don't know anyways. Because I'm like, if you're not already programmed into my phone, then why are you calling me? It's one of those things. And then I just let people leave messages. If, I figure if it's important enough, they'll leave a message. If it's not, they won't. And everything. Especially with all the robocalls and crap now with
Yeah.
telemarketers and stuff like that. Speaking of which, hopefully telemarketers stop calling me. I don't answer the phone calls anyways, but my cell phone number is now on the do not call registry or whatever it is. So, but I guess that's only.
I don't usually get those.
I've had.
I used to get them actually surprisingly often, and I just quit answering them.
Yeah. So, I guess like the thing is like, if. Well, I guess like if you interact with them, like then they know that somebody's there and they'll continue to, like, bug the crap out of you. But like if they determine that there's like nobody there or something like that, and they stop doing it because it's not worth the time to put
I bet they know there's somebody there. They just know that the person's not going to care about it.
Well, that could also possibly.
They haven't answered the last 10 times. They probably won't again.
Yeah, that probably also is what it is too.
In any case, this.
Go ahead.
This, I guess, I don't know. I would hope that this turns into a real feature, but it feels a little limited to me for the moment.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where they're getting it out to test. Maybe they're even testing it out or something like that. Or, like I said, if it's been a long way to feature, maybe Google is just feeling pressured to get it out and get something out that works.
I could really totally see it turning into a full feature, though. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Even though I don't own one of those, I'm sure that'd be kind of cool.
So you know what we might do, actually? We might do a video on it, giving it testing it out, stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, you could do that.
Because I think that would be interesting. So I don't know if my device has it yet, but this, at the time of them writing this, it said that it was being, pushed out. So, I would imagine that by now it probably does have the feature, but I could be wrong. Now, Google has also recently, this might be something interesting for myself, they've opened up a preview program that allows owners of the devices to actually test products, or not test products, but test upcoming features before they're actually available to anyone else. Kind of like the Windows Insider preview, which kind of didn't work out because we really don't have a test bench machine like I wish we did, but anyway. So, maybe we'll, do you remember that old Dell Latitude laptop that I have?
I think I do, yeah.
So,
the battery was awful on it, wasn't it?
Yeah, the battery's awful on it, but it still works. It's actually running Windows 8.1 right now, rather well. I think it's only 32-bit, with 1 gig of RAM in the thing.
Cool.
It runs surprisingly well. Oh yeah, DDR2.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, if it has only 1 gig of RAM, it's probably going to be DDR2.
Can be expanded up to DDR, or not DDR, can be expanded up to 4 gigs, though. So that might be an upgrade that I end up doing. We'll see.
Do you even use the thing?
I have a couple uses for it. If we upgraded it to 4 gigs, it would probably run Windows 10 decently, and we could use it as a test bench for new features in Windows. So that's one possibility. The other possibility is for doing DJing and stuff like that. If I eventually, actually book a lot more events in a year and stuff like that and get updated lights that can be controlled through a computer, it would be a great little machine to be able to do that on too. So, but
right, okay.
I like the idea of being able to have a test bench kind of thing for Windows. I think that'd be interesting, like I said, to test out new features. So another thing I'm looking into, and I downloaded it the other day, is, and we had previously talked about this, Unraid. I would love to build an Unraid server. And I guess it's pretty simple. So what I did was I have an old like 2 gig USB flash drive, which is more than enough space for it. Put like the trial on it and the software and everything. So I guess it runs right off the USB flash drive, and then you set everything up on the system and everything like that. So um, that might be something I look at doing with the other system that I have down in the basement, which is kind of, well, it's not being used right now. So that'll either be turned into an HTPC or it'll be turned into an Umraid server. But the thing is here, like, if I'm going to do an Umraid server, I kind of want to do like an Umraid build that has quite a few cores, lots of RAM, because with Umraid you can also do virtual machines. So,
Well, yeah, that'd be interesting.
um,
I can't say I'd have a use for one of those though. My main PC does all the stuff I want it to.
yeah, that's true. I would like to have it for the storage portion of it, with the redundant. I don't know how Umraid works. I think it's mirroring is how it works, actually. I don't think it's a true RAID. But it might be.
Don't they all boot from like one imaged OS, right?
Well, so the OS itself, I believe, is Linux based, and it runs off the USB flash drive
Or well,
for Umraid.
you can use it to run like a whole bunch of machines that are just Windows.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that's what they do,
set up,
right? They just all boot the same image. So you don't have to have a whole bunch of images.
I'm not sure how that.
Or
all
a whole
works.
bunch of storage devices, I should say. Or,
Well,
I don't know. I might be wrong about that. I might
you,
think
you can set up different raids and like volumes and stuff like that. Anyway, that would be something that would be interesting to get into at some point. And if we
That
do
sounds
expand, like it would be a really great option for like building a server, because we could build, a file server and like a DHCP server and deploy other servers all on one machine without having to have physical machines for them. Stuff like that.
Keto.
Which I think would be a really nice. So everything would be virtual then, basically. So, anyway, oh yes,
Is it Microsoft time?
yes. Hang on. Microsoft news time. Our favorite segment of the entire show.
Yay!
Let's see if I can hit the right buttons here. Let me grab this here. So last week we talked about Microsoft and kind of their poor numbers on the Surface lineup and stuff like that. So yeah, Microsoft dismissed Consumer Reports Surface reliability ratings last week. That's what we talked about. Now, a new internal memo shed some light on the issues that the software maker has faced. So I guess there's been some leaked information. Consumer Reports surveyed 90,000 tablet and laptop owners and found roughly 25% of Surface users have encountered issues by the end of the second year of ownership. Paul
Thurrott? I don't know.
Anyway, this guy has obtained an internal memo about Microsoft's response to Consumer Reports, and it appears to suggest that high Surface Pro 4 and Surface Book return rates could have impacted Consumer Reports' findings. In a leaked chart, return rates for Surface Book hit around 17% during its launch period and remained above 10% for 6 months. Surface Pro 4 return rates also reached around 16% during launch, but dropped below 10% after just over a month. Conversely, Surface Pro 3 launched with 11% return rates that quickly dropped below 10% and have remained at roughly 5 to 6% throughout its lifetime. The Surface Book has suffered from consistently higher return rates than any other Surface product throughout the nearly 2 years it has been on sale. So, looking at those numbers, they don't seem high, but I would imagine that they're pretty high for return rates.
This looks to say to me that Microsoft did indeed know what was up with the findings. And
What?
They were simply pretending to be perplexed by them.
Does that surprise you, though?
I think we talked about, debated, whatever.
I think I
last time,
think we did
and we were
last
like, well,
week.
did they know about it? Or were they really, did they really think that, it was just the early models that were high return rate? Oh,
Yeah.
no, clearly they knew all along what was going on.
Oh yeah. And again, this is typical Microsoft here. Oh crap, we're in hot water.
I'm
Let's lie
sure
about it.
this probably doesn't look so good for them, I
Um,
think.
you know what though? Like, if you think about it, and if you look at Microsoft, like the way that Microsoft is starting to go is like kind of this sneaky, like we're gonna lie about things to make ourselves look better, kind of thing.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't
Like,
paint them in a very good
they're
light.
not. Like, I'm starting to actually really doubt Microsoft here, like as a company.
Oh, I'm sure they will not be going anywhere as a company, but their
I'm sure probably
position
not.
as
But you know what? Like they're
go-to company for certain things, I don't know.
their reputation, I think, is definitely starting to slip.
Yes, definitely that, especially with all the Windows 10 spy
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
controversy, and now this that they're just basically lying about. Really
Yeah.
makes you go, what the heck?
Oh, hang on. I don't know if I just froze there for a second. I just popped up the UAC box by. Wow. Anyway. Oh yeah, we've talked about this before. Whoops, hang on. Where is it? Oh, okay, that's what that is. Like, so there's so many like scenes that I don't actually use for the Ram show that I kind of forgot what they are. We've talked about this before though. This is Spybot Anti-Beacon 1.6. I actually don't know if, let's see, is there an update? No, okay, we're still updated. But anyway, this is one of those ways to kind of uh, prevent Microsoft from collecting telemetry data on you and everything. And there's plenty of videos online on how to get this set up. Zach, you use this, don't you? The Spybot Anti-Beacon?
Even though you really only have to use it once, and
Yeah.
that's about it.
Well, okay, there's an important step in there that is... Oops, hang on. Let's see here. Let me get back in OBS there. There we go. There's an important step, and that is when you get it set up, there's an option in the settings that says, like, immunize after every restart or whatever like that. You're going to want to make sure that's checked so that the program actually starts up again next time you restart your computer if you do that. Anyway, back to the Microsoft stuff. Well, we're still talking about it. Anyway. So Microsoft suffered some major issues with the Surface Book and Surface Pro 4 launch. Let's see here. The original story is from The Verge. When The Verge reviewed the Microsoft Surface Book back in October of 2015, they noted a number of strange problems. Why am I not surprised?
I remember this bit, actually. The Surface Book, it had a tendency to, when you would, I forget if it was either undock or docking, or maybe both, it would blue screen because of the graphics card or something. Like the GPU, it had a dedicated GPU, but the GPU was in the keyboard.
What?
So you'd plug this thing in, and then it would like attempt to switch, and it would just spaz out, and or maybe it was unplug in, and it would try to switch, and then nope, blue screen. So yeah, that's what they did with it. They put it in the keyboard.
What in
Evidently
Microsoft?
that caused some problems for them to get it to actually work, to do the smooth switch.
What in Microsoft's right mind thought that putting the GPU in the keyboard was a good idea? Like,
Well, it could have been to like combat heat problems, or maybe there just wasn't enough space in the screen part. I don't know.
okay, but like,
But it doesn't seem like a bad idea in itself. It's more like, don't do it if you can't get it to work. Hello.
Well, okay, that. But like, my thing is that like, I would like a big selling point of something, at least for me. Well, for I think for a lot of people is how the screen looks. Some people really just don't care, but like that's becoming a thing nowadays. And so it's one of those things where I would imagine that like I would think that Microsoft would want to then have that GPU, the dedicated GPU in the device itself, whether you have it docked or undocked, so it would go actually in the device. But I don't know. Maybe
It
not.
wasn't even a particularly good integrated or dedicated GPU, but
Well, okay, I can't imagine it would be in a portable device like that, anyways.
I believe it was a custom-made chip, but
Oh,
it was
wonderful!
equivalent to a 940M, a GTX 940M, which is, not so good, I would say. Not looking so good these days. In fact,
Okay.
even at that time, definitely on the lower end of the spectrum.
So moving on, this also says Microsoft struggled with the power management of Intel's new Skylake chipset at the time. Other OEMs also suffered some minor problems, but were able to quickly remedy them with firmware fixes. Again, one of those other things where I'm not really surprised. Microsoft, for some reason, doesn't really do that great at.
Well, Microsoft tried to do something different from everybody else, and it was like, nope, didn't work so well.
You know what I find like funny almost maybe is the fact that like so Microsoft builds the operating system, right? Now they don't actually build the chip, but they're responsible for building the operating system that integrates with the chip and stuff like that. So I would think they would have a better handle on how to actually like fix a problem like that, knowing the in and out. Like I would feel that they'd have an advantage.
I believe they worked quite closely with NVIDIA to get that in there. So, again, I'm a little surprised they didn't get that figured out quicker. Because I remember seeing that and hearing that was a problem with the device, but funny, they never actually fixed it for a while.
Like, I think the best way to describe a lot of Microsoft right now is, what the hell are you doing?
Sounds fair.
Oh my goodness. Like, I don't even know anymore. Which is what makes this segment so great, is like, seriously, what did Microsoft do this week that, like, you just kind of sit there and you're like, really? Why are we talking about, like, why does this have to be a thing? But
they lied to our faces.
It is funny, though. Like, don't get me wrong, it is funny. Like, it's funny to watch Microsoft try to do damage control on things, so.
Like, this is something I am totally happy to watch them squirm about. Like, you did this to yourself, so have fun.
Right? Okay, so Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella met with Lenovo last year and quizzed the company over how it was responding to Skylake problems. Lenovo was confused, claims Thurrott, I think that's how you pronounce this guy's name, Thurrott, something like that. No one was having any issues. It appears Microsoft's own problems were the result of the company's unique approach to the Surface Book with custom firmware and drivers, while other, more experienced hardware makers were able to respond quickly. Microsoft's delay impacted reliability.
Well, to be fair to them, these companies have been building hardware for a lot longer than Microsoft has.
That is true. You know what? That leads to an interesting question. Should software companies just stick to doing software, and should hardware companies just stick to doing hardware?
Well, perhaps Microsoft should start with something a little more conventional unless they can get it to work. They seem to have gotten the concept to work for the first few generations, and now they try and do something like this, and it just doesn't work. Well, and you push it out the door anyway, even though it barely works.
And that's the thing.
Like, are surprised when people don't like it.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Why would you push it out the door then if it's not, completely functional?
Well, I suppose we should say they were not surprised that people did not like it, but they pretended to be. until someone leaked this memo.
You know what though? Like this does kind of follow along with Microsoft's like agenda right now, where it's like, oh well, we really don't care what consumers think. We're just gonna keep shoving it down their throats and hope they like
Just
it.
put on a happy face.
Like
It works.
Oh my goodness. Like, I don't know. I think the important thing is here is like we need to continue to call Microsoft out on these things so that, hopefully they're kind of like
To me, they call themselves out.
Well, I'm pretty sure they didn't mean to, but
Well, kind of. They kind of did.
Wah. Yeah. Oh, while we're on the subject of, I gotta find it real quick here. Do me a favor here.
What's up?
Hang on. I'm trying to type and talk and think all at the same time, and it doesn't work half the time. Okay. Go through the rest of this real quick while I pull this up. Okay? Like, kind of final thoughts.
All right, let's go. Microsoft's memo, which was authored even by Surface Chief. Oh, here's a name. Here we go. Panos. Oh man, okay? It's a P. We'll call him Paul because that's the name of somebody else in this article.
Panos
Mr.
Panay.
P. We'll just call him Mr. P. He notes that the company has worked tirelessly to fix the problem, and however, these improvements were unfortunately not reflected in the results of this. So, well, again, this just sounds like more PR speak to me. Although, this is PR speak after we already know what the deal really is. That there are in fact problems.
Well,
now they have to change up their PR speak a little.
It's damage control is what it is.
Well, yeah, it's damage control.
Like, you go out and you say that, oh, there's no problems with these things and stuff like that. Well, I don't think they completely said that, but they tried to, make it seem less bad than it actually was. And then come to find out that, this information comes out. Now they're like, ah, crap, now we have to cover this up kind of thing.
Now we have to sugarcoat it a bit.
Oh, okay, here we go. You might actually get a kick out of this. So, Bill Gates announced he was donating $4.6 billion in Microsoft shares, right? The other day?
All right.
Okay. However,
Good guy, Bill.
Okay, hang on. However, to get those shares to work, Zach, you might have to turn them off and turn them back on.
Oh, wait, hold on. What? What now?
Okay, so Bill Gates announced that he was donating $4.6 billion in Microsoft shares, right?
Okay.
However, to get those shares to work, you might have to turn them off and turn them back on.
Again. Oh. Well, kind of like the Surface Book, huh? Oops, I undocked the keyboard and it crashed. I didn't need that thing I was working on anyway.
That's okay. Like that video of them doing like a keynote speech where it blue screens.
Oh yeah, and then it blue screens. Well, this is why it's still in testing.
Yeah. Like nice cover. Okay, finishing this up, Microsoft believes it has fixed these issues and that return rates have decreased over the past 12 months as a result. If that's accurate, then Consumer Reports' next annual survey should reflect that. But until then, Microsoft is on damage control, as we've said before. The memo reveals the company is planning to share a, quote, comprehensive set of data that reflects the strengths of our quality and our customer sentiment. Yeah, sentiment. With partners, retail and sale personnel, and marketing teams. Okay, fine. Well, we'll see how that all works out.
Wow. Yeah, I'm definitely keen on seeing a Microsoft curated set of data. Huh?
That's what I was thinking too. Like
especially after this and that.
Right?
You're done, goof, Microsoft.
Like, yeah, you better just hope that things get better and that Consumer Reports, finds favorable.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice,
Yeah,
shame on me.
something like that.
Shame on me for believing you twice.
Okay. Hopefully you have not read through the story yet,
Nope.
because okay, I want your genuine opinion on this. Okay, so a perk of connected devices, which is amazing, at least what gadget manufacturers will tell you, is that they can receive over-the-air updates to keep your devices current. Which, would you agree? Did I lose you?
Oh no, I lost you for a moment there actually.
Oh, okay. What I was saying is that device manufacturers are now saying that having cloud connected devices is actually a perk because you can get updates and stuff like that. By the way, don't read ahead.
I've only seen the title, don't worry.
Okay, but would you agree with that statement?
I mean, I suppose, assuming those updates are good,
Right.
which
Yeah.
is not always the case. Sometimes
Oh
they just
yeah.
mess things up.
Oh yeah. This is okay. So yeah.
But yeah, it
Updates
seems
don't-
like this is indeed a case of they messed it up.
Yeah, updates don't always go as planned, however. In fact, they can go horribly wrong. Take a company called Lockstate, for example, which attempted to issue new software to its LS6i smart locks last week. Oh, and ended up bricking them.
And
Whoops.
you know what? I am not surprised at all.
Oops.
Oops, that door lock that you bought, it doesn't work anymore at all. It never will. We bricked it. You didn't do anything. We bricked it. How's that feel?
Well, okay, reading on, it looks like there is kind of like a quote-unquote fix.
They might actually be able to fix it?
Okay, well, basically, they gave a statement to The Verge, and the company said a small subset of customers' locks were unable to communicate with Lockstate servers, meaning that they didn't actually receive the update. So they're fine. So those locks are used to secure physical... I guess those are locks that are used to secure physical homes. Anyway.
Well, I think that's driving home the point that, hey, these things are meant to secure your house, and they don't work.
Well,
And those particular ones did not work, which ended up working out for them because they didn't get bricked. But
I'm not sure if it was like... Well, I'm not sure if like home ones decided they weren't going to work or how that... I don't know. Well,
no.
okay.
That's not the point. The point is that these things have an important function.
And they bricked them.
And they bricked them.
So the company says, we immediately contacted each and every customer that was affected, and we are working to get all affected locks back online. We've already fixed the problem for many of these customers, but for some we need to get their locks back for a reset and then ship it back out to them. But this next part says, so really the problem isn't totally solved unless you actually ship their lock back to them for repairs to actually have
So what? Now your front door doesn't have a lock. Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can fix it, but you have to send it back to us. Sorry. Oops, our bad.
I mean, I guess.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really think that cuts it here. Like, hello? These have an important job to do,
right?
and you're asking us to send them back to you?
Yeah, like I need a
Pay for a locksmith to come to my house and replace it then with something that works until then.
Or have an actual technician come
you
out.
Can't just.
Yeah, or like
I'm sure this is going to be an expensive mistake for them, though. That's for sure.
I'm sure.
The reputation damage, as well as having, they give these people a year of premium service, and they have to pay to fix, as well as, like I said, the damage to their reputation. Yeah, that's gonna.
Yeah. Fortunately, I've got it pulled up here. Fortunately, if this is the exact same lock, I'm not sure if it actually is. But fortunately, it looks like there's actually like a place for a key. So I would imagine that, if it's bricked and stuff like that, you can still unlock the door.
Well, maybe what they should be doing is sending people working ones and then taking the broken ones back.
That, you know what? That would be a good idea. That'd be a good idea.
Again, probably very expensive for them, but like, you did this to yourself.
You know,
Like, you can't just ask people to take the locks off their front doors so you can fix them.
exactly. You know what I'm thinking though? Like, wouldn't it have been a smart idea to like have a set of like, test devices and
I'm sure they
then
do. At least I would think they do. Maybe they don't. Maybe that was the problem.
and that's what I'm wondering.
Although I'd
Like,
be surprised if they didn't. Like, that just seems like a common sense kind of thing. Like, of course
but
you
see,
have to
then
test
like,
these
but then
things
here's my
before you
question.
push.
Then here's my question. Then, like, if you have a test device, then wouldn't you have known about the problem before it was actually deployed? Like
Well,
on a large
I
scale.
think that's the idea, but obviously they didn't.
So either they don't have some kind of testing solution like that, or something horribly went wrong
Yeah.
from the time that they tested it to the time of deployment. Um, so, yeah, I really don't know.
I mean, I think these things have a fair share of problems, that's for sure.
They're cool, and all technology is cool when it works. But it's as soon as it
not
doesn't
only that,
work.
but a lot of these things are not very secure either, and they're internet connected.
Yeah.
You could end up being part of a botnet and not even know it.
What was it? I was listening to Linus and Luke a couple weeks ago. They were talking about how car washes were starting to like become internet connected, and they were talking about how that's kind of possibly a bad idea and stuff like that, where somebody could like take control of it. And like,
I just don't understand what a car wash is doing on the internet anyway. Hello.
It's for like management and stuff like that. To make it a lot
Wouldn't that
easier.
be better to have it on like an sort of internal network or something like that?
Well, and you know what? And that is something that they brought up too, where it's like, okay.
Why would you put it on the standard issue internet? Like, put it on your own network. Why would you want it on the internet?
For
That's
usability and flexibility and stuff like that? Like,
I'm sure it's a lot easier to set up and manage, yeah. But like, I don't know. Aren't those things awfully expensive? I'm sure they are.
Oh, I'm sure they are too. Like, and this is like, let's not be tinfoil hattish here, where you shouldn't have anything connected to the internet and everything. But
paranoid, I suppose. Yeah.
Well, okay. Like, I think it's okay to have certain things connected and stuff like that, and
it's fine if they're secure.
And I think that's the biggest key is like when you start incorporating things like a smart lock and like as silly as it may sound, a internet connected car wash and your Nest thermostat and other things,
Just make sure you're not going to immediately become part of some botnet the moment it goes online.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
thanks.
So, and that's just the thing too. So, like, it's sad that we have to worry about these things, but unfortunately we do. So, anyway, oh yeah, this is the other part. Airbnb recommended the 6i. Yeah, I'm guessing they're not recommending that anymore.
Yeah, I would say that would be something they'd want to update. Yeah.
I can see why it would be nice for like Airbnb, where like I'm sure changing the code on it is pretty simple. So, like, I would imagine that at that point, it's one of those things where it's like, if you've got somebody who's coming to stay at your house, you can program a code in, give them that code. You don't have to worry about keys and stuff like that getting misplaced and stuff. And then once they leave, you just change the code. So I can see why Airbnb would, like, promote something like a smart lock like that with numbers and everything. Anyway, alrighty, final topic for this week. Well, actually, you know what? I want to skip to something real quick here. We'll just talk about it briefly. This was something that I thought was completely different. I'm looking at Z2, Zach.
Oh, great! I closed it already.
Basically, the title of it had something to do. It said iOS 11 cop button, and it wasn't what I was thinking it was. What I was thinking it was, and we talked about this in one of our classes, where like, if you are using a fingerprint like the fingerprint sensor on your phone, if the police come and ask you to unlock your phone, you actually have to unlock it. Versus if you're just using a code. And I guess the idea is your thumbprint is like common knowledge or public knowledge or something like that, and your passcode isn't. So, excuse me, what I was thinking it was like some way to actually disable that, like when the cops come up, but no, it's not. It's just like a feature that allows
you to call the police?
Yeah, basically. So if you quickly tap the power button 5 times, it like calls 911. Well, it gives you like, are you sure you want to do this? And then it does, kind of thing.
And it also brings up an option to either call or temporarily disable the fingerprint sensor until the until the owner of the phone enters the passcode. Now that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if
because
that means...
again of the fingerprint unlock / and the police kind of controversy, I guess you can call it, whether or not they can force you to unlock the phone. Well, if you do this, can they do that now?
I don't know. And like, I don't think it unlocks the phone. I think it just disables Touch ID is all it does.
Mm-hmm. At least until you enter the code.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's not what I thought it was. I was really excited when I saw cop button, because I really thought it was one of those things where it was like, oh, you hit a button and it totally like, disables the Touch ID, which it kind of sort of does, but not in the way that I thought it did. So
as soon as you say this thing is called the cop button, I just immediately thought, oh boy, this will be controversial.
Yeah, exactly. But it's...
and yeah, I'm sure this could be controversial.
You know what? It has taught me an important lesson. Read through the stories before I just start popping them into the show. Because that's usually what I do. I look at the titles, I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. Oh, that sounds interesting.
Both. It's kind of both. You can do either of those two things with this bot.
Yeah, so, but not, like I said, not what I was completely thinking, where, cop comes up, you, like, flip the switch on the side, and it, like, disables the Touch ID, which I'm sure there would be a lot of controversy around that.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, okay, let's move on to our last topic for this week. You know what, though? In other quick news, DJI added a private flight mode so that they apparently can't track what you're doing with your drone. And something to do with Sonic Spy Android spyware that basically, like, can record phone calls and other stuff. They weren't really that interesting, so yeah. They're going away.
I guess we'll skip that.
Well, that's why they're in the Z block. Those are the extra stories that were kind of interesting, but not really, so I decided not to actually put them in the main show. Now, Intel may be preparing to announce its upcoming 8th generation processor on August 21st, but the company is already looking to the future with an uncharacteristically early announcement of what seems to be its 9th generation Ice Lake chips, as reported by AnandTech.
So, why are they announcing this before the 8th generation ones? Hello?
I'm wondering if it has to do with Threadripper and the Ryzen chips that are out. I'm thinking
I don't know. I always thought that Coffee Lake was to be the answer to the Ryzen menace. With 6 cores, 12 threads on the i7s now. But apparently they're just like, no, here's this. Soon TM.
That's true, but if you think about it, like, still, 6 cores, 12 threads does not beat the Threadripper. Like, the
no,
the top
it doesn't.
line
But I don't think it's supposed to. Again, the ball's in their court here. If
exactly.
The pricing is good, it could be a good competitor.
That's true, but that's why I'm wondering.
Pricing, it's probably not. You're probably still looking at Ryzen is the way to go for performance per dollar. But I don't see AMD taking the gaming crown from them anytime soon.
Well, okay, so here's the thing then. Okay, so Threadripper's out, right? Coffee Lake, I would imagine, has already been being developed and stuff like that, so they're already figuring it out. So, like I said, I still think this is a way for Intel to kind of compete with the whole Ryzen Threadripper thing, where they're like, well, we already kind of have this product that's coming out that'll kind of sort of compete, but then we can also
Wait,
be
no, hold
working
on a sec. This isn't a high-end desktop part. This is just a, you know, your average consumer part. i3, i5, i7, and then, you
Okay,
know, the M series and, you know, all that stuff. This is a new generation of that. It's probably going to come after Coffee Lake. But, you know, again, that just adds to the confusion. Why are they announcing this before Coffee Lake?
I really think it has to do with the whole Ryzen lineup that's coming out because, you know, if you look at the core counts and the thread counts, like, you know, AMD has them beat right now on that and everything. Like I said, I think this is their way of trying to compete, but I could be wrong on that.
And this whole deal about the process sizes on these things are just, this completely confuses me, honestly. Is Coffee Lake going to include both 14 nanometer and 10 nanometer chips? What the heck is this? I have not seen this yet, so
So
I'm a
Intel,
little bit confused. And honestly, this whole thing just seems like a mess. What are they doing? Why are they announcing this first? This doesn't seem to me like anything to do with Ryzen. This just makes you go, makes you scratch your head. Like, what are they doing?
what the hell is going on?
Why?
Yeah.
I want to read the memo about this one, that's for sure. All
Uh,
right,
you
PR
know
team,
what?
we need you to announce this. But we
You know,
haven't announced the one before it yet.
okay, you know what? Considering that you are, because I kind of read through this, but considering you are the hardware expert, just I'm gonna
I do
let you
my
take this
best.
one. I'm gonna let you take this one.
What? Oh, I hate you.
You should know that, and I think I actually did mean to send this to you, and I just didn't get around to doing it. But
Well, I mean, I've kind of been skimming through this for the last few minutes, and I'm just like completely baffled by this. What is this?
well,
So they
okay,
announced. Let me just, I guess, go through this as I'm figuring it out. I
yeah,
mean,
okay.
okay, so
Let's
they've
do
announced
that.
Ice Lake. That's neat and all, and it's the successor to the 8th generation. So this is going to be the i3, i5, i7, you know, XX, what, or 9XX, whatever. And then, so this is, if Intel says they're going to use a 10 nanometer process or 10 nanometer plus process, which is a second generation of that process. So where's the first generation of that process? I guess we should be asking. Is Coffee Lake 10 nanometer chips? Well, according to Anintech, you know, I never knew how to say that right.
And yeah,
Anin, sheesh, I don't know. Well, evidently, according to them, that split is because Cannon Lake's chips, 10 nanometer chips, are being grouped together as Coffee Lake 14 nanometer plus lines for laptops. So does this mean that there's going to be, under the 8th generation banner, there are going to be 10 nanometer chips for laptops and 14 nanometer chips for desktop?
I have no idea. That possibly could be a thing. Then when you say nanometers, that's how big the chips are, right?
No. That's how big the smallest transistors on them are.
Oh, okay. So what does that basically mean? Bigger is better?
No, smaller is better because smaller ones are more efficient, they use less power, and you can fit more of them onto the same size.
That would make sense then why they would have a smaller size for a laptop. Okay, that
Well,
makes sense.
that's why they keep going down every generation. Like in my PC, I have Haswell, which is 22 nanometers.
Well, how small can you make them though?
Well, actually, as it happens, we are sort of approaching the limit. Within a few more refinements, we're gonna kind of hit a roadblock.
I would imagine.
Someone's gonna have to come up with something to push things along, otherwise we're gonna stagnate a little. But anyway, this whole thing just confuses me. What is this? Is it this whole paragraph here? I'm not entirely certain what's going on. I wish I could see a spreadsheet or something. Hello? Well, anyway, I guess either Coffee Lake is going to be a mix of 10 nanometer and 14 nanometer chips, or they have something else planned for the 10 nanometer chips, because there has to be some form of 10 nanometer process that's going to do it before Ice Lake, because they want to call Ice Lake a 10 nanometer plus process, which implies the second generation of that. So where's the first generation? Well, it'll be along somewhere. And I honestly couldn't tell you where, because this whole thing makes my head scratch.
Let's see here. To the surprise of many, Intel recently announced the forthcoming lineup of chips dubbed as the Ice Lake and confirmed that it will be built on a 10 nanometer plus process. Okay. According to a dedicated product page, okay, hang on. Let's do this. Can I get a link here?
Send me that. I want to see it.
Yeah, okay. Hang on. Well, there's not much here. Okay, hang on. I'll send you this. Like, there's nothing on this page.
Ice Lake processor family. Well, I was actually more curious about the 8th generation product spectrum, but, well, where there's nothing here.
Yeah,
I guess you're right.
That's what I said. Yeah, there's nothing there.
Next generation core processor family.
Here's this.
Intel's industry-leading 10 nanometer plus process. Okay, well, so what exactly is utilizing this? Well, they don't want to tell you.
Yeah, the brief product description confirms that the Ice Lake will be released following the Coffee Lake chips that are to be unveiled on August 21st.
In 2019. Or which,
You know what? Here is...
will not ship on device.
Oh, here we go. This might help you out. Here, let me send you this.
Oh, really?
This is the original article, it looks like, from Anatech.
All right. Line of chips dubbed as Ice Lake. 10 nanometer plus process. Blah, 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 blah. All right. So, following Coffee Lake chips unveiled on August 21st. That's neat. And, all right. So, Kaby Lake, yep, 14 nanometers. That's fine. Its successor, Cannon Lake, is supposed to be the first 10 nanometer chip. And that's all there is to know about it. Well, yeah, I suppose that's accurate.
So, in other words...
Gen 8 was... Oh, wait, hang on a second here. Okay. So, 8th generation chip, aka Coffee Lake, is another 14 nanometer process. But where is Cannon Lake then? Because Cannon Lake has been on the roadmap for quite some time.
Wow.
And it, again, 10 nanometer. So where is it? Now they've decided Generation 8 is going to be Coffee Lake. Well, where's Cannon Lake exactly? Is Cannon Lake going to be, are they going to have like a kind of a split, like Coffee Lake is for the desktop and it's 14 nanometer and Cannon Lake is 10 nanometer for mobile? What's going on here?
Okay, yeah, so looking at this chart then, so yeah, like you said, okay, so they've got Coffee Lake here. So it looks like Coffee Lake is confirmed to be the 8th generation, and Cannon Lake is kind of sitting there like, maybe,
so where is
maybe
it?
not. Yeah, like, where is it actually going to sit?
We might have this ready. I don't know. Maybe it will be like Broadwell where it's just mobile. Actually, that's not entirely true because there are a couple desktop Broadwell parts, but not really. They're mostly included in like all-in-ones, and there are only 2 socketed Broadwell chips, and they are not very common.
Yeah, this is the original article here, so I would imagine this is where we're going to get the most information, but...
Okay, so, in any case, well, yeah, again, Cannon Lake 8th. Maybe it will be like, perhaps Cannon Lake will be to Coffee Lake like Devil's Canyon is to Haswell, where it's like, all right, we've got a sort of augmented Generation 4 here, and we're going to call it Devil's Canyon. So maybe they're going to be like, well, all right, we've got a new and improved Generation 8, and we're going to call it Cannon Lake. Well, here's the thing with that, though, is that I think moving the process size is probably sufficient to, call it Generation 9, right? Don't you think?
I'm sorry, I tuned out there for a moment. I'm pulling up this article on the other side. What was that?
How much exactly did you catch of that?
Not much.
All right, so basically, I was suggesting that perhaps Cannon Lake could be to Coffee Lake as Devil's Canyon was to Haswell, where Devil's Canyon was a new and improved augmented Haswell, where they tried to address some of the issues with it. But I guess the issue with that statement is that Devil's Canyon was more of a reactionary thing because there were some issues with Haswell, notably on the high-end desktop where people were not satisfied with its performance.
So it was one of
specifically
those.
cool. And so they just kind of were like, they revamped it a little bit, and they're like, all right, here you go, new and improved. And it
Okay.
indeed was quite good. But the issue with that statement is they've already announced this. This isn't some reactionary thing. They're already saying, all right, hey, this is going to be Generation 8 Plus or whatever they want to call it. And it's going to be 10 nanometer process. So, I also suppose that perhaps 10 nanometer, moving from 14 nanometer to 10 nanometer is probably sufficient reason to, call it ninth generation instead of whatever they're planning on calling it, right?
Yeah, so you might be right. It might be one of those things where they're going to do, like kind of a split down the middle, where they're going to do, both Coffee Lake
I think
and
that's the
Cannon
most
Lake
plausible thing right now,
as
to be
both
honest.
the eighth
I've
generation.
really got nothing else to say about it. It makes me think. What are they doing? I don't know.
You know what?
I really don't know.
This will be an interesting thing to follow over time.
I will. Yeah, I will be very interested to see what the heck they are planning for this.
Yeah, it definitely sounds interesting. But no, yeah, I've heard Coffee Lake. That's kind of been the next big thing from Intel that's coming out. This is the first time I'm hearing Cannon Lake and the first time I'm hearing Ice Lake. So,
It's been a while since I looked at their roadmap, as it were, but
we've been
seem to
focusing
remember
on
that Cannon Lake
we've
has
been
always
focusing
been
on AMD recently too.
termed as Generation 8, and it was always going to be 10 nanometer, and now they've kind of shoved this Coffee Lake in there, and they're like, oh, it's going to be 14 nanometer. But then we're also going to have Cannon Lake, which is going to be 8th generation as well, and it's going to be 10 nanometer. So what's going on?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I honestly have no idea either. And this is like more of your department than it is my department. So
This is a really confusing announcement.
yeah, well, like the great
well,
thing is
we'll see what they do.
the great thing is with all this stuff though, like before like I actually started getting into more like the tech and like the hardware side of things, like now I actually am starting to understand, like I know about Ryzen and stuff like that. Like I may not understand all the technical portions
Believe
about it.
me, I don't either. The only people who understand everything are the people who build the things.
Right? But like now at least like I like if somebody brings up, Ryzen, it's like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Whereas before I was like, yeah, whatever. And so, the great thing with like, Coffee Lake, Cannon Lake, stuff like that, like, and I've heard of some of these other ones, like, Sky Lake and Cabby Lake and stuff like that, but I haven't really followed them all that much. So as this stuff starts coming out, I think it's going to be interesting to start following it, learning more about it for myself, kind of thing, because I want to learn more about the hardware side of things.
Well, now if only one of these CPUs will launch and give me a reason to upgrade.
Yeah, because you're not going AMD because the gaming performance just is not there for you.
Well, I mean, I don't need to. My CPU's pretty good.
Yeah, so I do like.
So something really awesome had better come out before I'm gonna take a look and say, I wonder.
Right? Yeah. So I'm like I said, I'm getting excited to get get my truck paid off so I can build, Redmond and have
build a not toaster.
Yeah, build a not toaster. Speaking of toasters, you know what I saw? Apparently, I don't know if this is a gag product or if it's not, but Ryzen made a toaster, or not Ryzen, Razer. Razer made a toaster.
What?
Yeah, like a legit toaster.
Thing that you put bread in?
Yes.
What? I'm gonna Google that right now.
Yeah, Linus did
Razer
a video.
toaster.
Yeah, Linus
Introducing
did
Project breadwinner.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I guess it like
That's
actually.
actually a Razer toaster.
Well, okay. I guess it started off as an April Fool's joke.
So
Well,
it's an April Fool's joke, and then they actually made it a thing.
I think that's what it was. It was an April Fool's joke, and then it actually like
That is the
became.
stupidest thing I've ever seen.
I don't see a product page for it. Hang on.
Well, seems like it began life as a prank, and
Oh yeah, it
I don't
did.
know.
It was totally a prank, but yeah, I
That's
guess at
interesting.
LTX this year, like Linus actually had one, and he was like making toast. But
You could just take a toaster and then brand it and call it a day, right?
well, okay, so this one, like, I guess the final product is gonna have like RGB colors, like and stuff like that, and be able to be controlled through like their software. And it's
I
got like
honestly
USB.
don't know whether this is serious or not, but like, I love it.
Yeah, it's gonna have like, well, okay, if it's real, what Linus was saying was it's gonna have like RGB and stuff like that, and
Oh, of course it will. It's
and
got
it's got-
Razer's name on
and
it.
it's got USB ports like built into it, and I think they're USB 3, but I could be wrong on that. Oh, and then like the coolest thing is it actually like burns like the Razer logo into the toast.
Fantastic. Just what we need. Gaming toast. Yes.
So no, I thought you knew about that, but
Oh, no. Never heard of this.
it's an interesting little thing.
That's fantastic. I love it.
So anyway, but no, I saw that. I think that video just came out recently, like within the last couple days. So anyway, yeah, I kind of had the same reaction. She was like, "What?" Like,
Huh.
okay then.
Funny.
I guess that's a thing that is happening. So anyway, yeah, whether like I said, whether it's an actual real product or not, I have no idea. But yeah, so anyway, with that being said, as usual, I'm sure you don't have anything to add, do you?
Nah.
So, all right. Well, what I'm going to say then is thank you so much for joining us this week. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of The Ram Show. If you did, thumbs up rating would be awesome. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. If you really enjoy our content, you can subscribe to our channel. Make sure notifications are on so you don't miss anything. And more content should be coming up here soon as I think school starts next week, doesn't it, Zach?
Classes? I think so.
So that would mean that, yeah, I mean we're all going to be back together soon. So anyway, with that being said, we are going to say goodbye, and we will see you next week here on The Ram Show.